Welcome everybody. We're going to talk about improving the onboarding of 150 DevOps engineers in 3 dimension at PostNL. But first, we want to get you activated, thinking about the onboarding journey and think about your own onboarding journey when you first joined your current company or previous company. So let's have a show of hands. And who received an itinerary for their first day? So you knew what to expect the first day. Okay, see a couple of people, but not everyone. So that's interesting. And who built a connection with their team in the first week that really felt, okay, I know everyone, right? I see the same people sometimes, but also others. And then finally, who was on call within 2 months? I see 2 people, so not everyone. Well, this is what we're going to talk about the next 20 minutes. But first, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Steffan Norberhuis, a freelance AWS and DevOps consultant. And the last year I've been working with PostNL to improve their way of working.
And my name is Elke Salzmann and I started last year as an IT trainee at PostNL. And today we will guide you through our journey that we have done in the last couple of months. So we first will tell you about the problem we encountered at PostNL with the onboarding of new engineers. We came up with a solution to it, and the solution consists of an onboarding journey and onboarding guides that we have divided into multiple aspects and phases during the onboarding. So we will tell you more about it, but of course first let's see if there's a problem. Well, we have seen that more and more companies are getting digital. So the world is in a digital transformation. We have a lot of digital native companies, but also companies like financial companies or logistical companies claim they are a tech company with financial or logistical services. And we have one thing in common, that's that we need good DevOps engineers to reach our goals. And finding those good DevOps engineers and hiring them is already hard, but retaining them is maybe even harder. And we claim that retainment starts already before their first day.
So let's look at the problems that we see in onboarding and let's take a deep dive in there. So first, we see an ad hoc approach to technology. The approach lacks any structure, so that leaves new hires becoming overwhelmed. They're bombarded with technical details. And the end result is a low amount of knowledge transferred. Secondly, during onboarding, limited focus is spent on building trust. And trust and social connection is the key ingredients for good teamwork. Finally, there's a limited psychological safety and room to ask questions. At the last place, the organization has no official place in the onboarding. So you only meet key people haphazardly. You potentially meet them in the office or when you really need them, but you don't know them during the onboarding. And any chapters, guilds, or groups that work on focus areas of your interest or get to decide stuff, you're not introduced to that. So these are the major problems that we see due to the lack of focus on onboarding.
Yeah, and we say that this can be solved by a good onboarding journey of new engineers. Now that we have seen what we want to build, let's talk about who is responsible for this journey. So we say that this onboarding journey is the responsibility of the whole team. You need to make sure that this new person goes from the rookie to a team member as fast as possible, and to build trust and therefore build an effective team so that the new hire can add value to the team as soon as possible. And therefore we have created a solution. So we have built an onboarding guide, and we have divided it into 3 aspects, or 3 dimensions, and into 4 phases of the onboarding. So first take a look at the dimensions that we have thought of. So the first one is the technical dimension. Like Steffan already said before, it's now an ad hoc approach mostly. And you should think of a structural way to introduce a new hire to your technical problems. Then, secondly, the organizational aspect of the onboarding. Make sure that a new engineer feels part of the family, part of this organization as soon as possible. And last, the social aspect is very important to build trust and to build an effective team. And then we have divided this into 4 different phases. So like I said before, the retainment starts already before the first day. So after signing the contract, you should already think about the onboarding. Then on the first day, you should make sure that the new hire has an unforgettable day and don't want to leave the company soon. And in the first week, he or she can maybe already add value, write the first lines of code. And within 1 month, somebody should really feel part of the team, really feel part of the organization, and already can work independently. So in all of these phases and all of these dimensions, you should think about actions that you want to take at that point of time.
Yeah, so we built a full onboarding guide that we presented to all the teams within PostNL. And we're going to give you some highlights and examples of the key milestones that we follow to give you an idea of what you can do. So before the first day, what we emphasize is to send an email with the itinerary of the first day. So who will pick them up and how to reach them in case if the car breaks down or your train is delayed, you already know, hey, I can contact this person to let them know I'll be late. Include an itinerary of the full day. So someone knows what he will do in the morning, what his afternoon will look like. So he has an idea of the first day and don't have any anxiety. Then you can include lunch plans and lunch options around the office and a dress code. It might be something that you know implicitly, but it is nice to know there is a dress code or there's none. Then on the first day, we really emphasize a team lunch. This should be a get-together to celebrate the new arrival with the whole team. Sharing food is an Asian tradition. We just did it. And it's a great method to spend time with everyone. Because usually during the first day, you spend a lot of time with a couple of individuals, but not with the rest of the team. So this is a great way to start building connection. And if you're doing a co-located or remote, try to have this event where you celebrate the new arrival, because it is a celebration. Then in week 1, we emphasize technical. In the technical dimension, we emphasize pair programming into production. This has 2 elements. Pair programming is a great way to transfer knowledge. You sit together, you can explain immediately all the stuff, but also it is you're not alone. The new hire doesn't sit alone, has his own problems, say, oh yeah, I have to fix this. No, you're in there together, so this generates team feeling. Lastly, get it into production. So the new hire sees every step of the value delivery. Building, testing, releasing. He or she knows how to deliver value. Then after the first month, put the new hire on call. It shows trust that you have in them to be responsible for the system. But it also encourages you to really start building this trust, to teach, to allow them to be on call. It also has, they are now part of bearing the burden of the team, being on the on-call shift. You can start on call during work hours and then shift to outside office hours. These are some examples that you can use to build your own onboarding journey.
Yeah, now that we have seen the guides that we have developed, let's talk about who is responsible for this execution. So, well, like I said before, it is a team responsibility, but 2 people can have a more important role, in particularly in this onboarding process. First of all, of course, the new hire itself, And secondly, there can be an important role for the newest developer of the team that's already working within the team. But let's start with the new hire. So the new engineer has now gained some experience within the first month, and it's time to now listen to the new engineer and to learn from him or her. He or she can already make some suggestions for improvements. This can either be on the onboarding or on the technical documentation, for example, or the way of working. And this makes the rookie now actually part of the team. So, like we said before, it builds trust that you are relying on the new engineer, and you build an effective team. So, and as a side effect, this also improves the onboarding every step of every time somebody new is introduced to the team. Then another part is that the new hire can improve the documentation. So this also makes the new team member part of the team and an independent team member, and transfers him or her from a listener to a leader, and he or she can already add value to the team. And this can again either be technical documentation, which is not incomplete or not clear yet, or can be the onboarding documentation. Then now take a look at the second person that I mentioned, the newest developer. He or she can be already within the team for a few months, but this newest developer has the most recent experience in onboarding, so the best insights in what to improve and what not. And by making him or her in charge, it's also becoming a more independent team member of the team, and he or she can implement the improvements that the newest developer saw. And another important point that we would like to mention is that let the newest developer explain the architecture of the application. This way you challenge the newest engineer whether the architecture is clear to him or her, or that the documentation maybe should be improved for this. If it's not, then they both can go to the more senior developer to ask for explanation on the architecture. So even though it's a team responsibility, the onboarding can also be a learning experience for these two newest members of the team.
So now we've introduced the onboarding journey and how we thought about it in PostNL. We're now starting to automate it and deliver it to all the teams. So what we've done is to create a Slack app that is actually responsible for administrating team membership. And in the future, this will be done by anyone in the team. But when you now join a Slack channel, this Slack app will see, hey, you're joining that team. And it will start your onboarding journey. So it will say, hey, you're welcome to the team, and you can start your journey. So the first step is to get access to all systems. So it will see, hey, have you set up access to GitHub? In the future, it will be single sign-on, but now it can already do it automatically. It will also guide you through any onboarding meeting. So it will ask you, have you set up meetings to get the C4 model explained in your architecture and all that stuff, we're adding it. It will also set up any key set up any meetings between key people. Currently, it's your own responsibility, but we can add all these events like, have you met the PO for the product owner for the mission and the roadmap? Have you met the CTO? And etc., etc. And this will guide you through the whole onboarding journey. And at the end of the onboarding journey, it will ask you, do you have any more recommendations? So if you want to read the full guide, we've written it and it's available at norberhuis.nl/onboarding and engineer.
Yeah, now we have come to the end of the presentation. So I will give a quick recap before we go to the hands-on workshop. So we have seen that we had this problem within PostNL that there was no structured onboarding journey for new DevOps engineers. And therefore it was already hard to hire them, and we wanted to retain them. So we built an onboarding guide to do this in a more structured way and to have a complete picture of the whole onboarding. We have divided it into 3 dimensions: the technical, the organizational, and the social aspect. And we also have divided it into 4 phases. So before day 1, where the retainment already starts, on the first day to make his or her day unforgettable, and within a week where already some value can be added, and within a month to be a full member of the team. And so I would say start investing in your onboarding journey and make the first day of your new hires unforgettable.
Right. Yes, thank you so much. Are there any questions from the audience in the room?
In our journey, we don't have really a strong journey, maybe, but a lot of time. How do you look at how to learn the code for the developers? Because a lot of times I think it's good to not only to do pair programming, but it also that they start doing the creating tests in the beginning instead of directly into the code and start exploring the functionality. Is that also in your view?
So in our view, what we said is to pair program into production. So one of the key things there is that you also to test, and we think that every step of the value delivery should be a step in that process. So yeah, I completely agree that testing is part of that.
So also the feel and touch.
What is feel and touch?
Creating tests, doing the code, creating the test, doing the deployment yourself, etc.
Yeah, and in pair program you have different ways of operating, and so one is the boss driver and stuff like that. But I would really recommend that the developers spend the most time on the keyboard, and you just sit back and say, hey, now you need to do this, and in that mode.
So start swimming.
Yeah.
Right, cool. I don't have any questions from the people at home.
Okay.
So I would love to thank you for this part. The people at home, thank you so much for joining. This was it for tonight. We hope to see you, of course, for the next meetup. And meanwhile, we'll continue over here. Okay, have a nice evening.